Old Marylebone Town Hall in the heart of London is home to Britain's most famous register office.
Have you got 15 minutes to spare to be a witness for our wedding? We're getting married.
15 minutes?
We register births, deaths and marriages. Hatch, match, dispatch.
Over one momentous summer,
Is there any news?
we filmed behind the scenes.
I've got 26 births, God knows how many deaths coming in. I've got no access to internet.
It's just one thing after another.
To capture the landmark moments that unite us all.
When you lose a loved one, it's really, really hard. But when you lose your mum, I'm sorry, I didn't really want to make you cry again, I'm sorry.
It was a surprise, old Georgie boy, I tell you. A couple of days of romance and next year, you know.
Get a room.
I got a massive tattoo of her name on my arm yesterday. If she leaves me, that's going to be a nightmare.
Over nearly 100 years, some of Britain's most iconic births, deaths and marriages have been recorded here.
Here we have the Queen's marriage entry, Paul McCartney's marriage to Linda, John Collins' birth entry, so I know how old she is.
People from completely different backgrounds walk up those steps. And behind every registration, there's a different story.
No, don't apologise to me. I'm sorry that we've put you in this position, but we have to. We have a job to do. It's not going to spoil your relationship, I hope.
What's going on?
Sorry, I can't talk. We've got a real problem, so I can't. Sorry, I can't stop.
The Westminster registrars conduct over 2,000 weddings a year, and on rare occasions they have to make some difficult decisions.
And unfortunately, it's transpired that the groom went through a marriage about 20 years ago when he was a kid in America. Doesn't remember anything about it, was a bit drunk at the time, in Nevada. He thinks he was annulled, he wasn't really sure. And to cut a long story short, we've had to stop the wedding. We're going to do a commitment ceremony.
What about a renewal of vows ceremony?
But they haven't had any vows to renew.
No, that's...
I said I would get some words together.
What can you say in these kinds of...
I don't know. I have no idea.
While head registrar Alison devises an alternative ceremony for her cancelled wedding,
OK, so if you want to take a seat, please.
the other registrars must ensure that today's remaining weddings go off without a hitch.
So, Peter, I will be recording your details in the marriage register today. So
Before a couple get married, the first thing we have to do is interview them. We're checking that they are who they say they are, that they're not still married to somebody else. You know, it's their last opportunity to fess up.
have you been through any form of marriage or civil partnership before in this or any other country?
Nope.
This is Mark. You've already met. He'll be conducting the ceremony.
Because otherwise, if they do proceed and they are still married, they are committing a bigamy, a perjury, and you know, they could be looking at a stretch at Her Majesty's pleasure.
We've already had one today. We haven't got married, so...
Really? What? Was there a fight?
No. The groom, turns out, confessed that he'd already been married in Vegas 20 years ago. And she didn't know.
What data?
So...
One of those things.
Registrars also have to ensure that the bride and groom are in a fit state before they can be legally married.
You got any free match nerves?
I'll be all right.
Good answer.
I'm a bit hungover.
Don't tell me that.
We don't like hearing the words, I've had a few. I mean, if somebody does come up to you and says, oh, I'm drunk, then technically we could stop the wedding.
He was not drunk and violent.
No, I'm not drunk.
Hungover, COVID.
But we're doing
intoxicated now.
Jaeger bombs at midnight.
No.
Well, you still seem sober, so I think we can marry you still.
I can take a lot.
I was hanging in the morning. I got pretty hammered. I'm not a sensible drinker.
You're getting hysterical now, aren't you?
I know.
Really didn't know I was going to get through the day.
Pete had 6 stag do's before our wedding because he likes to milk it.
You ready?
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Go a wedding.
OK, let's go.
Cool.
Peter and Claire met in their hometown of Bedford. They've been together 11 years and have 2 children, 3-year-old Scarlett and 9-year-old Connor, who will be best man.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay.
I chose Connor to be my best man because he's kind of my best mate. Give me a hug. Give me a hug. You know, I have good friends, but he is my little buddy, and I spend a lot of time with him. He came to the stag do. He didn't come to the evening, but he came to the day when we went to Ascot. Actually, he won the most money. It was hilarious.
We're going up to see Daddy.
You ready for your big moment? Yes, totally ready, man. Very ready. She's amazing. She's absolutely amazing.
Sorry I'm a bit late.
Don't you worry. What she doesn't know, though, this is funny. This would be really funny if she divorces me. I got a massive tattoo of her name on my arm yesterday. If she leaves me, that's going to be a nightmare. I can only date girls called Claire. Come here, my beautiful princess. Give me a kiss. We always thought it would be nice that both our children would be at our wedding. We always planned to have a second child, so they could both be there and both enjoy it and both be in the pictures, because it would have been quite sad for one of the children to look back and see the wedding pictures and they're not in it. Do I get a kiss and good luck?
Where are you going?
I'm getting married. You have to sit down now. Scarlett.
Times have changed. When my mum and dad got married, they waited till after the wedding to have children, but you know, that isn't always the case now.
You can sit next to Lily.
It's actually quite common for a couple to have their children either in the bride's belly or actually there in the ceremony, involved in some way.
Please be upstanding to welcome the bride.
This is weird. You okay?
Are you all right?
Yeah. Shaken.
Now, Peter, if you'd begin making your promise to your bride by repeating, I call upon.
What? Sorry, I missed that.
I call upon.
I call upon. We always felt our marriage wasn't just the marriage of the two of us, it's actually a joining of us as a family. We'll be coming together as one, and that was really nice.
We do have a tradition here, I have to tell you, that the marriage certificate is always presented to the head of the household.
Scarlett.
Scarlett.
Man's got something for you.
Oh, you're the head of the household. OK, well, there we are.
There's lots of emotions goes on in this building, in different rooms, at the same time. In one room, you can have a sense of joy, and in the next room is a sense of sadness. One of the most complicated things I've come across around registering a death is when somebody die alone with no relatives. I find that very hard. Miss Cosgrove, would you like to come with me, please? Well, we've got a lady by the name of Carrie Cosgrove. She comes 2 or 3 times a week and registers more than one death every time she comes. The deaths that she's been registering, these people, they've got no living relatives. Right, Carrie, here we are again. We're making a record of this person's life. And when you can't fill certain spaces on a death certificate, it's really heartbreaking.
As Westminster Council's funeral officer, it's Kerry Cosgrove's job to attend the homes of people who have died alone.
I see the first-hand results of what happens when people are left to manage by themselves and they can't manage, but there doesn't seem to be anyone else there for them.
Today, she's on her way to the home of an unidentified man in his 60s. His body has been removed, so Kerry must now try to trace his identity and find out if he has any living relatives.
When I first enter a premises, usually it feels like an intrusion. It's still someone's home. And I have to remind myself that, you know, I am there to help. I'll be dealing with body fluids, crunching around and dead flies and maggots. The smell is almost overwhelming.
That's it. It's better.
Obviously, they were quite an isolated person because They died and they'd have some time without being discovered. It was a number of months. Oh, looks like we've got a birth certificate. He worked for the police at one stage, by the looks of it. It's a contract of employment with the Met Police. Oh, gosh. Strange. A number of wigs. It looks like the wardrobe is full of women's clothes. There's no other signs of a woman being here. Jeez. He had to cut them for his feet. It appears that he was a cross-dresser. Just a very lonely one. We've got a bit of a background story. It's nice to get a feel for the person.
Kerry has discovered the deceased man's identity, but despite extensive searches, she has been unable to find any living relatives.
According to this, he died at home, yeah?
Yes.
It's quite a while he's been dead. Poor man, it's about time he's buried. I hope I never die alone. There's an old Jamaican saying, there should be somebody there to give you your last drink of water. And for a lot of these people, there's no one there to give them their last drink of water.
Once Kerry has registered the man's death, she can organise his funeral.
Part of my role is to try and give the person who's died that last piece of dignity through their funeral, through recognising their death, through recognising their life.
We now commit his body to be cremated. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Apart from the undertaker, Kerry is the only person to attend the deceased man's funeral.
What Kerry does goes above and beyond the call of duty.
I just like helping people. And I know that I'm helping people who are dead. But even so, I feel like I'm doing something positive and helpful.
love, respect and cherish.
To love, respect and cherish.
The team of 21 registrars working at the Old Marylebone Town Hall can conduct up to 80 weddings a week.
To love and to cherish.
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 For the rest of our lives together.
The rest of our lives together.
As far as the staff are concerned, it can really seem a bit of a sausage factory. We've now come to the exchange of rings, if they've arrived. Lovely. Going up and down the corridor from one wedding to another. But it's a sausage factory of unique occasions. Bye-bye then. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your life.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
A woman came in, she had the wedding on the Friday, came in on the Monday saying, can you rub it out of the book because...
Rub it out of the book?
Because the guy ran away that evening, Friday evening.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember that.
With another woman.
To do it like that is just the worst thing possible.
This place is ridiculous stationary. Yeah. Love and marriage go together like... don't say it. Love and marriage, I guess you can sort of see it as being quite soppy. But again, in this job, you become so desensitized to the whole idea because you see people all the time getting married and it's... I tell them sometimes, you're just signing a bit of paper. Like that.
You don't need the rings now, do you?
24-year-old David is the town hall's newest recruit.
Hello. I'm the youngest registrar here at Westminster. And a lot of people would kill to have a job like mine. It's very secure. It's quite easy. I described it to some of my colleagues as glorified data entry. If I found myself being a registrar in 40 years' time, I would kill myself. No.
Today, David will be conducting the marriage of Louis, who is from a Greek Cypriot family, and Sandy, whose family are Sikhs.
It's a monsoon wedding.
Yeah, it is definitely a monsoon one.
They say that if you get married on a rainy day, that it's good luck. Yeah, but everyone that gets married on a rainy day says that.
Do you think me marrying Louis is diluting tradition? Or do you think it may strengthen it in some ways?
It is diluting the tradition, in my view.
People from my family probably don't like the idea of a mixed marriage. I think on the basis that it's different, it's something alien to them.
We're going to bring down, you know, a culture. I mean, two people in love that want to get married.
Sandy's father, Bal, has found it difficult to accept his daughter's relationship with Louis.
Me and Sandeep been always very, very, very close. And when initially I learned that my daughter Sandeep was going to marry somebody who wasn't Sikh, of course I was a little bit upset.
I remember Dad met Louis for the first time and he'd barely made eye contact with him, and I think I remember saying to him, if you really don't want me to be with Louis, then what do you expect me to do? Tell him I can't be with him, love of my life, and because I'd rather marry somebody that my dad chooses for me where it could go drastically wrong.
What time's kick-off?
Hurry.
If I had dug my heels in and said, no, you can't marry somebody out of a traditional Sikh background, I would have brought a big split. And that would have been disastrous for both myself and my daughter.
Ready to rumble.
It's kind of what we've talked about, what we dreamed about, and it's all happening now. Louis, we're ready to begin? Okay. So if you want to stand here, don't look around.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Would you please be upstanding to receive the bride and her bridal party?
We weren't boyfriend and girlfriend immediately. We were friends for
3 years.
3 years. I physically could not contain that emotion anymore. I just kind of put my hand over her mouth.
No, don't say it like that. That sounds really wrong. No, you asked me. You told me that you loved me.
I told her that I loved her, and then I kissed her, and then I put my hand over her mouth and said, look, don't say anything. I want to be with you.
I thought I was going away from forced marriage, but clearly.
I I actually think the 3 years was a ruse on her part to kind of get me to where she wanted me.
What you have to do is you have to break these people down and then build them in your image.
And now I've got it locked down, haven't I? I've sealed the deal, so she can't get away now. So that's a clap, wasn't it? Yeah.
I'm not very romantic at all, but sometimes I'm almost moved to tears at ceremonies. It's hard to pick at what it is which gets me to that stage. Sometimes I guess it's just a look, maybe. It could just be loads of small things adding up together.
Your kindness and capacity to love, and your capacity to love me, overwhelms me with awe and gratitude.
Love for us has been feeling like you're at home, and when I'm with Louis, I feel like I'm at home, and I've never felt that way before.
You make me want to be the best version of me because you deserve nothing less than the very best. We fit like jigsaw puzzle pieces, and each day it becomes clearer that our home is in each other. I love you and thank you for saying yes.
Yours is so better than mine. Oh no, this is terrible.
It's not, it's beautiful, it's beautiful. And Sandy, will you take Louis to be your husband?
I'm very proud of my daughter. She's always been my baby.
Your lives together.
I've always loved her and always will do, and I wish the best to both of them.
Ladies and gentlemen, it does give me great pleasure to declare that Louis and Sandy are husband and wife. Congratulations. It was a nice one. Yeah, it was very good. Probably the best one of the day. Obviously meant a lot to them, which helps.
Congratulations to both of you.
Thanks, Dad.
Louis has become part of the family, and they seem to be very happy, and I hope they carry on being happy like that.
Lovely.
Those are the best weddings because they sort of take you by surprise and they make you realise actually, yeah, what you're doing is important and it's life-defining and it's worthwhile, and for these people, their lives will probably never be the same again.
Sandy and Louis are one of the last couples to grace the steps of the old Marylebone Town Hall, at least for the foreseeable future. After nearly 100 years in the building, the registrars are moving out to 3 different premises across Westminster.
Hi, sir.
Morning.
Hello, how are you doing? I understand you're here to register a death, is that correct? Yes. Okay, I'm sorry about the mess. As you're probably aware, we're moving at the moment, so we're all packing and...
Today, the process of packing up nearly 180 years' worth of historical records is beginning. Amongst the hundreds of thousands of documents are the registers containing the records for Oscar Wilde's marriage, Florence Nightingale's death, and the births of Brooklyn and Romeo Beckham. And they're all being moved to their new home.
This is a huge operation, but people don't know that. So while we're working in relative chaos, people continue to have their babies, and bless them, they're still passing away. Now, this takes about 30 minutes.
63-year-old Roger Dean has arrived to register a death.
No, so Leonard's surname is Wiltshire.
It is, as the county.
All right, then.
We met in the street. As simple as that. We're obviously instantly attracted. I thought, oh, I don't know, it's just something about him. I love the way he looked. I love the way he was dressed. I love the way he was walking.
And now his full name
is Leonard George.
I had a very smart car then, BMW. We jumped in the car. We drove off to where he was living. And we sat talking and talking and talking. By the next day, I mean, I was totally in love with him. We haven't been apart since. Literally haven't been apart since.
We have been together 35 years.
Wow.
So
you've seen a lot of changes for us in that length of time, haven't you?
And how, yes. Incredible.
When you've been around the block a few times and you've engaged in a few relationships, you tend to know when a unique relationship occurs. I don't think you can define love, but when you come across the one where it's really there, you definitely know it. And the same address for you?
Mm-hmm. Towards the end, you know, your love grows. There's no question. Because he was so helpless. You know, he had sort of shrunk. He'd literally, physically shrunk. And all you want to do is look after him.
That looks right.
All right, then. So, all right, Roger, I'll need your signature then with this old pen in space 8. Anywhere in there is fine.
Is it one of those special pens?
It is. It's got registrar's ink in
Yeah.
it.
I remember that when we had the civil partnership.
Oh, yes, it would have been the same.
Yeah.
Same ink,
special pen.
actually. So when was the civil partnership?
It was in 2006.
All right, one of the early ones.
Yes.
One of the first.
It wasn't the happiest day of our life. Definitely not. We arrived here at Marylebone Town Hall. There was this most dreadful display of fake flowers. Leonard was absolutely horrified, and he just ran over and just hid them somewhere. I don't know what he did with them. But basically, he was a window dresser and display consultant, and he spent his life spending thousands of pounds on flowers and arranging flowers for so many events. But for some reason, he never sort of thought to do it for the day we had our civil partnership. Oh, we had the most terrific row about it. No, it wasn't the happiest day of our life at all.
He was only going in for 4 or 5 days and then he was coming out.
Really?
That was the plan. It didn't work out.
I didn't have a final conversation with him because it just happened so instantly.
Were you present when he passed away, Roger?
I was.
Leonard wasn't speaking anymore. He couldn't speak. He couldn't swallow. And I held his hand, and I could talk to him, but he couldn't reply. And then I was resting my head on his pillow, and then I woke up. It was 11:40, and he didn't wake up. So perhaps he waited for me to go to sleep. I don't know. No, there was no final conversation. He was always telling me he loved me. Always complaining that I didn't tell him enough. Yeah. Wish I had.
Hope I don't see you again too soon.
I know, yeah. I know. Take care of yourself.
Thanks so much.
Talk.
Bye-bye.
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 going to be one of those days.
Good morning, Westminster Register Office. You're through to Neil.
Today, after nearly 100 years, the Births and Deaths Department is being moved out of the Old Marylebone Town Hall.
Phone's going as well.
Yes.
Okay. We will get there.
No, I know, but it's just other people are panicking.
But the service needs to keep running, as in Westminster today, at least 20 babies will be born and 5 people will pass away.
Hello, registrars. Neil speaking. I understand you'd like to book a citizenship ceremony, is that right?
In 2004, a new ceremonial occasion was introduced at the Town Hall. Registrars across the country began conducting citizenship ceremonies, providing pomp and prestige to the occasion when foreign nationals earn the right to become British citizens.
They have to swear allegiance to the Queen and country. We've had a couple of people who are like, well, I'm Republican, I don't believe in the monarchy, blah, 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 but they have to say it, which is why she's looking very attractively over our new citizens.
Every week, 3,500 people become new British citizens.
How do we say your name?
Sadaf.
Sadaf Ansar.
The registrars at the Town Hall conduct ceremonies for up to 40 people at a time.
Sukau. Opapum Sukau.
Passport?
Passport.
And since the ceremonies began, they've naturalized people from over 170 different countries.
We start with Abdul Kader Benassar.
For Registrar Neil Packnadell, conducting these ceremonies has a personal significance.
I'm the great-grandchild of refugees, coming from a Jewish family who escaped the pogroms from Eastern Europe. I've been lucky. I've been lucky to be in Britain. We will be calling you row by row, and you will wait no further than here, because Juliet, the photographer, will be there, and we don't want you in the photos by mistake.
For the new citizens, it's the final stage in a process which has taken years, cost over £5,000, and has seen them pass a Life in the UK test, ensuring they know things like their Tudor kings and queens from their stewards.
Would you all please stand? And in turn, would you please say the word I and then your full name?
I, Fadi Ahmed.
I, Falah Lafi Kalaf Hamdan Al-Enizi.
Falah fled his homeland in the Middle East 7 years ago to come to Britain. He comes from a persecuted minority group, and fearing for the safety of his family who still live there, he is too scared to say which country he is from.
When becoming a British citizen,
I will be faithful.
I will be faithful. In the country I come from, there is no rights for me, for people like me. What do you feel if you can't study, if you can't travel, if you can't work? This is no life. Just put yourself in this environment, then you feel the darkness. I respect its rights and freedoms.
I will uphold its democratic values.
Its democratic values.
Well done all. We welcome you on behalf of the Queen, her government. I've had people who cried because they came from a country which held no future for them, possibly death. But Britain's given them a home, Britain's given them a life, and Britain's given them peace and the chance of a future.
God save our gracious Queen.
Now finally, I feel like I have somewhere I can call home, and I have somewhere I belong.
Send her me.
I call this day is my second birthday. I never forget this day.
I'm not Cecil Rhodes, claiming that to be a young British man is to win first prize in the lottery of life. But it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Congratulations all.
It's the first day for the Births and Deaths Department in a new building located 3 miles away from the Old Marylebone Town Hall.
We should have our computers up and running, seriously. Fucking hell. Jesus Christ.
Births and Deaths Service Manager Tracy Zimmerman faces an IT problem minutes before they're due to open their doors, and she wants answers from the IT department.
I've got 26 births, God knows how many deaths coming in. I've got no access to internet, no diary. Apparently you told Alison on the bus that you need to come in and flick a switch and it's all going to be good. That's what I've been told. No, she knows nothing about it.
She does.
Well, I think that everyone's bullshitting.
So what's happening?
Is everyone in? Is everyone here? Nice of you to come ready for work.
I did, I was going down to change.
Okay, can you go and get
I dragged
changed?
up here, of course I
Yeah,
will.
yeah, lovely. Thank you, Neil. Right.
We've got no IT, so that means we're at the pink in paddle. Neil, what are you doing today?
Looking for the fridge.
Looking for the fridge. Well, the fridge is there.
I found it. I'm about to launch myself into the unknown.
Okay, well, fine.
As soon as I've taken the lid off these blackberries, we don't want those going mouldy, do we?
1 hour later, and the IT problem is fixed.
Look as if we can register a birth.
The new building is also a fresh start for David, who has recently been trained to register births.
Sorry to keep you waiting. That is a big pram.
I know.
I'm going to try my best to fit it in. The one thing I'm learning at the moment is that you have to respect and be quite sensitive towards the people you meet who come in every day. How are you both?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. But there are times, especially amongst people my own age, where you can let your hair down a little bit and be a bit more relaxed and sort of probe them a little bit more and find out more about their lives. And that's nice. It sort of makes them feel more at ease, I think, sometimes, and it makes my day go quicker. Before we begin, I have to ascertain why it is you're here.
To register the birth of our son.
Sounds about right. And are you the mother of the child?
I am.
Are you the father of the child?
Yes, mate.
And at the time of the birth, were you married to each other?
No.
You look panic-stricken at the thought.
Thank you.
Okay.
It might happen in the future, but I can't see it at the minute.
We do marriages here if you ever want one.
No, thank you. First met Stephen at his cousin's christening 6 years ago, and when I met him, he did a little bit float my boat, but not that much.
So who made the first move?
Him.
What was the first move?
I can't remember, I just asked her if she wanted a drink or something, do you know? Like,
that's smooth.
six years down the line, here we are.
Oh, God.
Charlie and Stephen already have a daughter together, 2-year-old Lily Rose.
We're not together at the minute, but it's a bit backwards and forwards for us. Hard times.
We're always breaking up, then we make a go of it, then we break up. He's a pain in the arse. But we're still good friends. He's a very good dad, and he'll do anything for the kids. And he's knowing that we ain't together, he'll still do anything for me.
And what would you like to call your baby?
George.
How are you spelling it?
George.
Just like the baby, the royal baby?
Yeah.
The baby.
George just seemed right, you know?
He looked like a George.
Yeah, and he was across right near where the little Prince got born, you know, so I thought...
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, we'll go for it.
Middle names?
Cornelius.
How are you spelling that?
I don't have a clue how to spell
Your dad's name?
Yeah, I ain't got a clue how to spell
C-O-N-N, isn't it?
C-O-R-N. I don't know how to spell Cornelius.
Is it like Cornelius Fudge from Harry Potter?
That's it.
Sure?
Yeah, 100%.
Once you sign the document, you can't change
No,
it?
that is it.
Okay. Recording Dad's details on the certificate?
Yep.
Yeah, please.
Of course. And it was just... When registering a birth, we have very strict guidelines which we have to follow, dating back to 1837. So it's a bit archaic, because it assumes that all women are trollops. But it basically says that if an unmarried mother has a baby, then she definitely has to register, and the father doesn't. If the unmarried father doesn't turn up, then his details aren't recorded, and he doesn't have any parental responsibility, which means that he gets away with it, basically. You're both signing it, so you're both taking parental responsibility as well.
It is important to have Stephen's name on both of my kids' birth certificate, because there's some kids out there that don't even know who their dads are, and I want my kids to know who their father is.
So if you want to sign your usual signature just here. So you had 2 babies, are you going to pop another one out?
Don't think so.
No?
He was a surprise, old Georgie boy, I tell you. I nearly fainted when she told me. Just a couple of days of romance, and next year, you know.
A couple of days.
Oh, God. I hope in the future that me and Stephen could work our differences out, because that's what I want for my kids, and it would mean a lot to me if we could be a proper family.
There's your certificates.
Thank you.
No worries.
Cheers.
It was good to meet you guys. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
I'll see you outside.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Press the button.
Right.
In nearly 100 years, the old Marylebone Town Hall has registered over 1 million births, deaths and marriages. But this iconic building, which has served kings and queens and their citizens alike, will be closing its doors to the public in the next few days.
The building, beautiful as it is, isn't as important to me as it is to Pat. As you've worked here for what, 20 plus years?
28 and a half to be exact.
28 and a half years.
Tommy and I will walk out of this building for the last time together.
As an era ends, the registrars reflect on whether they'll even be needed in the future.
The computers are going to take over. People can register their births on their tablets in their hospital bed, and you can probably register deaths in the same way as well. With facial recognition systems, it would be so easy.
I do hope that registrars endure, and not just because it pays my wages, which are not very high, but because I firmly and genuinely believe that there are events in your life where you need another human being to guide you through them.
The building has emotional ties, not just for the team who work here, but also for the people who have walked through its doors.
Oh my God, no turning back, this is it.
Yep.
About time after 20 years. 20 years, no.
One of the last weddings to take place at the old Marylebone Town Hall will be between 41-year-old Tracy and 44-year-old Mick.
We first met in our local pub.
And he asked me to come back and play Sega. And that was it.
And it was a Sega.
It was Sega. And it was
Sonic
the Hedgehog. It's important for us that we get married here in this building because of the history that we have with the place.
Mick and Tracy's connection to the town hall began 20 years ago when, after 2 miscarriages, Tracy fell pregnant with their daughter Alex, who was born prematurely.
We was asked to decide whether we wanted to keep Alex alive or whether we wanted to let her go because she would be severely disabled if we kept her. But we didn't have to make that decision because she actually died in my arms, didn't she? Birth and death is registered here at Westminster. 4 weeks after burying Alex, I fell pregnant again. This time it's with twins. And our boys were 16 years old last week.
Anyone would be upset if they've lost 3 kids and they never thought they would actually have children. And then me and Craig came along, 2 in 1.
It was a total different feeling that time entering this building to what it was before. I was absolutely elated. I can remember walking up the stairs and thinking what a beautiful building this really, really is.
When you walk up the steps, it went quiet. It was like such a place as a spiritual place, but it was just... it
just felt right.
Yeah, that's why we want to get married here.
Just does mean a lot.
Now, can you confirm the full name by which you are known and use?
Michael Oliver Casey.
Right, and is this how it's spelled? Michael Oliver Casey?
Yeah.
Mrs. Casey.
Oh my God, Tracy Casey!
You've come here as a parish. You're going home as a Casey. Tracy Casey.
I want to be Mrs. Casey. I want the same name as Mickey and my boys.
One of the reasons I want to get married is because what Tracy said might be a little bit morbid, but when she dies, she's going to have parish on her headstone, and I'll have Casey, and that made me sort of think that we've got to do it because I don't want that for her.
I'm not sure she's arrived yet, but she may
feel
have.
her.
You can feel her, right? Okay.
Really, really happy.
Cheers.
Is that the gentleman waiting to see me? Hi.
How do you do? I'm Mark. I'm going to be marrying you today. You all right?
Nice to meet you.
Come in.
Thank you. Marriage has always been just a bit of paper. But if I be truthful, I think that's always because I was never married. Now I'm getting married, it means love, commitment, and just being together forever. You can't get away now.
Never could anyway.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding to welcome the bride.
I felt like proud, like my mum looked so beautiful on the day, and like they're finally gonna get done. It's actually happening. It's never nice seeing your mum cry, and it made us like get a bit more emotional. I turned to my dad and saw his face light up. It was good to see because he doesn't smile often.
There's one little link missing, and this is the final link to our perfect creation.
So perfect, yeah.
Hold my hand, please. It's shaking.
I give you this ring
I'll give you this ring
as a symbol of my love and commitment.
as a symbol of my love and commitment.
And I call...
Love is something that's spoken about and written about and has been for many centuries. And I think it's been written about and spoken about so much because nobody can actually really tell you what it is. If they could, it would have been written about and spoken about once. But I see it, and I see it every day in the work that I'm doing, and I can't tell you what it is, but it's lovely to witness.
It now gives me great pleasure to declare that you are now husband and wife. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Love has come along.
We done it.
My lonely days are over.
the skies above are blue. My heart was wrapped up in clover. The night I looked at you.
Going to be a bit of a wrench leaving here. It's been a major part of my life. It's going to be difficult. But there'll always be people coming to get married wherever we are. There'll always be people having babies and needing to register deaths. So, you know, you can't keep looking back.
To press my cheek to a thrill that I